Okay. Um, okay, so welcome to the show. This is Joycelyn Linton coming into the higher calling. And I'm at St. Edmund's Church. As I was saying in the first part, that because the Lord has caused me to be a sent messenger, I've noted throughout my lifetime that wherever I go, souls gather. And the souls are gathering. Now there's three churches that we had our St. Edmund's, we had our normal church service, and the church down the road has come in, and they have to start that sharp on 12, because at 2 o'clock there's another church service, and that's exactly what it's like, folks. And if the government was to take a study on me, they will see that wherever I go, the souls migrate. And can I tell you, folks, it's good for business as well. I was saying to somebody that I was in a workplace there, and their profits soared so much that they actually asked me to leave the workplace. So there's just something about the messenger of the Lord, because the messenger is always on a 24/7 role of bringing forth the message of the Lord, whether it's in the spirit, whether it's in the soul, whether it's just the normal appearance and the voice. That messenger is always on duty on behalf of the Lord. So now I have to find a corner to be able to finish off or to continue the message, because the hall has souls here too. So folks, welcome to the show. This is Joycelyn Linton coming into the higher calling, and I am so glad, I am smiling to see the souls migrate to hear the word of the Lord, to receive the light of the Lord. And folks, I ask you to stay with me on this one, because I am going to meander. I'm going to drop hopscotch from one to the other. I remember as a child, in the playground in school, we used to play following the leader, and we'd get into chains. So you'd have one person who would start a chain, and they would start to go through the playground, and others would join in and hold on at the back. And then it became like a snake that was meandering through, and then you'd find that the last person at the end of the tail end would swing all the way around, and the whole playground was involved, and it became quite funny, because it was trying not to break the chain and then holding on when you were swung around. And I also remember that as a child, that there was a snake. It was a plastic snake, and if you held it by its tail, the snake, it was made up in segments, okay? And as you held it by the tail, it would the plastic snail that was made up in segments, snake, it will just start to move, and it will curve around. So this is what's going to happen, folks. I ask you to stay with me and follow me as I curve around the playground here, okay? So I just want to go over to the Gospel of St. John's here, and this is going to correlate with what I was reading in the church vestry there on Proverbs chapter 8 verse 1 and verse 22 to 31. So here now, it says, if I go to the Gospel of St. John, verse 12, it says, chapter 1 verse 12, it says, "But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name." Okay? So it's to receive. It's the lock and key theory here. It's to be able to receive from the messenger. And who was saying this? But John the Baptist. Okay? And if we read up on John the Baptist in St. Mark's, John has said that he is a sent messenger. Okay, John has said that. It says, as I go over to the Gospel according to St. Mark's, it says, the beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. So we're talking about divinity here, the divine being. as it is written in the prophets, right? So the prophets brought forth the word of the Lord, and the Lord shall establish his word. The Lord shall see that his word performs, and it shall come to pass. And I was just saying this in the first part when I was in the church, as I read on the morning liturgy, and it's talking about wisdom. And the wisdom has been given a persona, but it's the wisdom of the Lord that is coming upon us as people. And so now it says here, as it is written in the prophets. So the prophets are bringing wisdom to the souls as they migrate to the sent messenger. And it says here, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare the way before thee. Right? So the souls have to migrate so that the messenger can prepare the way before the souls. So that's what I'm saying. The souls will migrate. However, as yet they have to realize the relevance of the sent messenger to them. They have to yet realize the word of the Lord that flows through this vessel, that prepares humanity, prepares the people, prepares the soul to receive his heaven that is soon going to come upon the earth, folks. Are you hearing me, folks? Are you going to stay with me on this one? Are you going to join in to the line, follow the leader? Because Jesus said, don't cast your net out into the sea, but be fishers of men. And what he's saying, that we are to come into our divine being. We are to awaken into our truth, who we really are in the eyes of the Lord. You see? And this yesterday morning, I was reading the book of Romans in the New Testament, when Paul writes to the Gentiles, because you know there's the Jews and the Gentiles, but all has fallen short in the glory of the Lord. So, but Paul is specifically writing to the Gentiles and saying, until the coming of the Messiah, until the redemption of the Lord's people, that we too can be saved to receive the Messiah. These are certain conducts that we should maintain in ourselves. And one of them, one of the reading, it was talking about sin and flesh, you see. And if my eyes can quickly scan. And I read chapter 1 here. It says here in chapter 1, the book of Romans, verse 13, it says here, now I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I purposed to come unto you, but was let hitherto, that I might have some fruit among you also, even as among other Gentiles. I am debtor both to the Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the unwise. Okay? So, as much as in me is, I am ready to preach the gospel to you that are at Rome also. Okay? So, that's during the Roman Empire. And folks, stay with me on the storyline here. Now, if we know the book of Daniel, Daniel interpretates, and I won't describe Daniel to you because it will take me too long, and I want to keep the trend of the story and keep your engagement in this. So Daniel interpretates Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, that he interpretates his dream from the revelation of the Lord. And he said that there will be 5 kingdoms. There will be Babylon, there will be, which is the statue of gold. There will be Persia, the Persian kingdom, which be the silver. There will be the Greece, which is the bronze. There will be the Roman Empire, and then where we are now, the British and the Russian. That is the clay and the iron, a division, and the ending, and then there will be the Messiah. So we know that we're no longer under the Roman Empire. Well, hey man, you know, I really believe the Roman Empire is very strong. But we recognize that we're under the British Empire and the Russian. One's the bear and one is the lion. And I heard President Putin say the bear is okay. He's having his honey. He's having his honey in the woods. The bear is just okay, he's saying. Okay, so it must be that the British Empire is the lion that's about to roar and lead us to the Messiah, to the coming of the Messiah. Okay, so Paul is saying until that coming, okay, we as Gentiles, and basically the earth is under the Gentile spirit, we are to adhere to the laws of God that has been given through the prophets. That's what he's saying in Romans, you see. And to come out of that law can bring us into the abomination of the Lord. That's basically what he's saying. So he's saying adhere to the laws of the Lord and it will go well with us. And it was just something here, but I want to say it. I didn't take note, but it was in the first and second chapter. He says here, For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. So that's chapter 1, verse 16. And then, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Okay? Now, I'm just looking for another part here so that I can finish up, just tie up this little message here, this little notch of a message here. Clear seeing, because that thing, professing themselves to be wise and become fools. So verse 21 of chapter 1, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed their glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. There you are, so I'm getting up to where I wanted to say. So, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affection. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burnt in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind, and do these things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment